This is what Molinia looks like up close if it hasn't had animals grazing on it for a number of years. So as you can see, it's like a constant thatch, and all of this is years and years of growth that's just sat there. And if you part it and try and find the ground, which is a long way away, you will see it's completely dead down there. There is nothing. There's no light. It's just Molinia thatch. So it's been suffocated, and any other plant just gave up ages ago. Now, one view is that if you leave this, it will regenerate into woodland. How can anything, any seed down here, possibly get enough light to grow? If you don't have livestock, you have no poo. If you have no poo or moving livestock, what's distributing the seeds? Some would say birds. If there's no poo, there will be no insects, and what would the birds be eating? In a straight line of about 9 or 10 miles until you hit Oakhampton, it is nothing but this, because there's hardly any livestock out there. The other thing to consider with all of this area of very dead Molinia thatch is fire risk. We had a wildfire behind us beyond that tor not long ago, a couple of years ago, and actually we need to do something about this and decrease that fire risk. So I want to explain why the image and the form of ponies are so central to this exhibition. So what I did this week is I went out to meet Charlotte Faulkner, who is the chair of the Dartmoor Hill Pony Association, to look at a site where she manages the grazing on behalf of the landowner, and she uses ponies to do that. And I asked her to give me a bit of a tour.
I am Charlotte Faulkner, and I am chair of the charity Friends of the Dartmoor Hill Pony and founder, and I am also chair of the Dartmoor Hill Pony Association.
So what was this like before it was starting to be grazed by ponies?
You're about waist high in Molinia. So what the ponies are managing to do is they're making spaces again in between Molinia. So that's an old clump there, but now it's got grass around it, so that's quite cool really. And then they work their way across another patch of grassy stuff in amongst the Molinia, and then if you come this way, you've got poo as well.
And what's so good about poo?
Poo has beetles and bugs, and everyone lives off poo. Poo is incredibly valuable. As the ponies go up and down it, they use it as much, and they're widening it. If you look at either side of this path, the ponies are chewing away. That's almost a farbering now.
So how many ponies do you have on here?
We have up to 15. When is somebody going to actually notice what is happening and how it can work? And that they're a fabulous management tool that costs nothing. They're one of the answers to what we're struggling with this modern climate change and all the things that are going on. We've just got to give them the opportunity to be here.
For this exhibition, I want to use the form of ponies because they are a management tool to be able to combat this invasive plant, which has been here for millennia, which is recognised by DEFRA as having rare genetics, and they're classed as endangered because their number is now so low. And yet, DEFRA policy threatens them. So it's a case of making people aware that we have the answer outside our window to tackle the Molinia problem that we have on Dartmoor, and we are seeing the impact of their numbers being crashed from 6,000 to 1,000 in a very few number of years, and we're paying the price. So the point of the exhibition is to, in this case, make a glaze from the Molinia grass and to put it on the pony form. We've kind of moved on to the subject of bracken, and I'm meeting Andy Byfield today, who is a botanist, and I am on Spitchwick Common, where I collected bracken to burn and make ash.
Why it's interesting is that you've got a grassland here, an acid dry grassland, and then you've got a thin, well, historically a thin scatter of bracken over it. And those two things together, thin grassland and thin bracken, means that it's hugely important both for one very rare orchid, or very fast declining orchid, which is the lesser butterfly orchid, and it's also hugely important for its populations of fritillary butterflies, which are lovely butterflies that are sort of rich, rusty, orangey reds with a sort of checkerboard of black and orange. The bracken is, in the summer the bracken would be up to waist height or taller,
yep.
Sort of 1.5 meters tall. They're very tiny, very dry, they may not survive, but you've got 1, 2, 3, 4 violet seedlings there.
Uh-huh.
Now they're surviving currently, but if you were to wind the clock forward by 10 years or so and carry on putting this leaf litter on the ground, at that point they would finally give up the ghost and that would be it.
Yeah. So back at the ranch, back at the pottery, what have I learnt from my time on Spitchwick Common? Woodland is good, but it's not for everywhere. In the word biodiversity, there should be room for other very special habitats. Creating woodland in the wrong place, on balance, is harmful. In the case of the commons on Dartmoor, which are being engulfed by bracken, I've learnt that grazing with ponies and cattle is important because they do two things. They bruise and keep in check the bracken, and they keep the thin grazing underneath open so that these rare seedlings can grow and find the light. And also there's the importance of traditional management techniques. Those seedlings can find the light because traditional management such as swaling or burning happens in the right areas on Spitchwick Common to get rid of the build-up of bracken leaf litter, which would otherwise smother the seed bank of these very rare orchids, and the violets, which are so important to the fritillary butterflies. I hope that we will see the correct needed number of ponies on commons such as Spitchwick to be able to maintain that very precious habitat.